Today is Friday, November 27, 2021. You're welcome to this edition of Prime Flash on My Media Prime with me, Audrey Zatsa. The draft state budget for the year 2022 has been put before members of Parliament for scrutiny and adoption. This was yesterday, November 26, 2021 at the National Assembly. The draft budget stands at 5,480.4 billion francs CFA as against 5,480.4 billion francs CFA in 2021, witnessing an increase of 5%. For the 2022 financial year, the objective of the overall budgetary policy remains the medium and long-term sustainability of public finances and proper implementation of the 2030 National Development Strategy in line with the presidential guidelines. During this financial year, focus will be on commissioning major infrastructure projects, continuing the plan to support the production of consumer goods, improving the business climate, consolidating achievements, and accelerating decentralization, as well as continuing the health response to COVID-19. In the West region, 3 children have been reported dead in the region after consuming a meal composed of boiled unripe banana and fried beans. The incident that occurred at the Chuale neighborhood in Chang, Ngwa division yesterday involved a 5-year-old and two 2-year-old children. Though the cause of their death is still to be established, locals who showed up have attributed this to poison that may have been consumed by the children. Police has arrested 2 men in Bafoussam West region of the country for allegedly committing murder. The men are said to have murdered their uncle after a neighbor promised to give them a car if they commit a crime. Details with Nora Kakebi. And in the absence of these elements, we pursue with traders at the Bonamusadi market in Douala economic capital have expressed anger after Douala City Council agents destroyed their market stuff. Details with Fon Quinta.
There was tension at the Bonamusadi market in Douala 5 subdivision, littoral region of Cameroon this 25th day of November, after Douala City Council agents destroyed makeshift structures which practically occupied most parts of the road. Petty traders at the Bonamusadi market criticized the move by these council agents. This trader, internally displaced from the southwest region, now residing in Douala, expresses her rage.
So now you see me so I come on as a bush for Southwest. Who wants to take and Douala say along with survive? I don't show Douala na me this or what? Na me this back for hate. But the family them go ask me. Na me this I don't know as I do. I don't know as I mean I go start now so as you see me. Because too much. You want to all we. You know what they will come out. They want to come out give 150,000. 150,000. Who say me I get that? Do I say na borrow? Where borrow? I said if I give. The market is here, so now borrow I say if I give money. We're not there with. Currency on a sofa. We're not there with. My family is there for my house. I'm not in the this market. They drive me outside.
According to council officials, the move is to clean the roadside path that leads to the Bonamusadi training pitch for the 2022 Afghan competition.
Today is to liberate all the entrances that lead to the start. So we want the start to be clean, proper, so that if strangers come, they will not have difficulties entering the start. Even those who are moving with their bikes, the pedestrians, to have a free passage to the start. That's why all these women and men who are selling across the path of the start, as you can see, it's nasty. It doesn't defeat a country is going to host the camp.
The head of the operation further revealed that traders had been notified.
Twice a week, we sensitize the women, telling them how they should leave, liberate the area that lead to the start. But yet they're still progress strong. We didn't stop there. After a week again, we'll do the same thing. So we have done sensitization. So when they should not be surprised. They might be telling that we are taking them by surprise. It's not by surprise. Because we have done this sensitization at least twice a week, as I said.
Armed with sledgehammers and other tools, the council workers destroyed and burned some of the structures. This is not the first time Douala City Council is embarking in such an exercise, but it is hoped this will be the last, coming at a time the country is preparing to host African competition come January 2022.
We now move to the southwest region, where the governor, Bernard Okali-Abilai, has launched a cleanup or special cleanup campaign in Fako Division this Friday, November 27, 2021. The information is contained in a release recently signed by the governor, stating that the cleanup campaign will begin in Boya at 10 a.m., in Tiko at 12 noon, and in Limbe at 2 p.m. According to the governor, the cleanup campaign is to prepare the towns in the Fako Division for the upcoming Africa Cup of Nations to be played in Cameroon. Away from the cleanup campaign, the governor in the release states that business persons in Boya, Limbe, and Tiko will be requested to clean their premises every Tuesday and Friday from 7:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. The town of Boya and Limbe will be hosting Group 1 matches of the Africa Cup of Nations from January 9 to February 6, 2022. Stakeholders of human rights in Cameroon, in partnership with the Ministry of Labor and Social Security, have organized a workshop to revise the list of hazardous works for children in Cameroon. The two-day workshop was phase 1 of the fight against child labor in the northwest and west regions of the country. Details with Joy Ngong.
Fighting against child labor in Cameroon is one of the major concerns of the Ministry of Labor and Social Security. To this effect, a two-day workshop was organized in partnership with the World Labour Organization, aimed at reviewing and updating the list of hazardous works for children in Cameroon for the northwest and west regions.
In our context, especially in the northwest, the socio-political crisis, there are many children who are not going to school and have involved themselves in activities which normally children should not be exercising. So I think the workshop is timely for our context.
The workshop, which involved stakeholders from various civil society groups, employers, employees, civil administration, representatives from the Ministry of Social Affairs, who shared with participants their personal experiences regarding child labor.
I think that proposals from the different stakeholders have been very instrumental in the works, because as you might have learned, it is a process to revise the list of hazardous works for children, and I believe that it is a very important one because it is inclusive. This time around, the government is not just sitting and creating the text, but we are hearing proposals from the different sectors. We have heard from the civil society. The journalist mentioned to us about his personal experience. We heard the pastor talk.
The stakeholders at the workshop unanimously proposed ways in which child labor can be banished from Cameroon with a collective effort.
When this seminar started and I saw the context, I was very happy because they have put in place strategies that are going to curb the exploitation of the underage children in relation to child labor. And when we have this type of a situation, looking back at what we have, we know that there is a move that is being put in place to ameliorate the situation of these children.
The project to fight child labor in Cameroon is, however, still in its preparatory phase. Teams have been deployed to all the 10 regions for surveys, after which proposals arrived at during the workshop will be implemented at the national level.
We now talk about the upcoming AFCON 2021. COVID-19 health clearance certificates are going to be one of the entry visas to all AFCON event venues come January 2022. The announcement was made by authorities in charge of the organization of this competition, as Dolly Ngonde tells us.
While all-round preparations are beefing up towards the organization and subsequent hosting of the 2021 now 2022 AFCON Games in Cameroon, plus the turns taken by the various inspectors, either from the state or CAF teams, in ensuring that the enacted stadia to host the advanced games are apt to international standards. One more thing spectators may need to know is the obligatory requirement for each to possess and own a legit COVID-19 health clearance certificate should they vie to view the matches live from the stadium. The decision, which has already been validated, would take the following modalities.
We have simple but very effective measures. One, a spectator must make sure you have your rapid antigen test, which is negative, for you to have access during the match. And this test is valid for approximately 2 days.
With this, it is crystal clear that this is going to be one of the primordial visas spectators must possess before making their way into the various AFCON event venues. But what else does the common man needs to know?
One important information about it is if you are vaccinated and you are going to watch a match, your test will be valid for 7 days. So there might be several matches for which you will have access to the stadium without repeating your test within this period of 7 days. So vaccine is also an advantage for access to the stadium there as well for protecting yourself during this AFCON competition.
Worthy of note is the fact that the mandatory acquisition of a legit COVID-19 health clearance certificate by all spectators is presumed to be a key prerequisite for a successful AFCON 2021 hosting, especially during this era of the COVID-19 pandemic. It is also said to be one of the security measures that must be put in place to guarantee the health protection of the various spectators, while sounding as a clarion call to many Cameroonians still timid with the ongoing COVID-19 vaccination, as it is one way to acquire total immunization.
The Minister of State, Secretary General at the Presidency of the Republic, Ferdinand Ngwa, is leading a special delegation to Egypt, Cairo, for CAF's 13th Extraordinary General Assembly this Friday, November 27, 2021. The Minister of Sports, Narcisse Moile Kombi, Chairman of the Local Organizing Committee of the 2021 African Cup of Nations, is a member of this delegation, whose purpose is to iron out with CAF authorities the misunderstanding arising from the letter of the Secretary General of the African Football Body addressed recently to Cameroonian Minister of Sports, a letter in which CAF strongly denounces the delay of work in the Olembe Stadium and threatens to exclude it from hosting the opening ceremony of the 2021 AFCON. We now move to health. November is commemorated as a Bladder Health Awareness Month, aiming at educating and empowering individuals to take control of their bladder. Let's have details with Bokengo Wari.
The bladder is an organ of the urinary system that collects and stores urine temporarily, making sure it can be controlled and not frequent. While urine is being made in the kidneys and travels down to the bladder through the ureters, ready for excretion, holding in the urine in the bladder against its will can bring about life-threatening diseases and health conditions, including urinary stone, overactive bladder, urinary inconsistency, dysuria, urinary retention, wasting, bedwetting, and urinary tract infections. Worthy of note is the fact that urinary tract infections are most common in women than men worldwide. To this regard, painful urination, an increased urge to urinate, pelvic pain, as well as blood in urine, and some self-diagnosed symptoms that prevents many women from becoming sufferers of bladder cancer, kidney failure, and cystitis, which may lead to bedwetting over time. With an estimated 150 million people affected by urinary tract infections yearly, keeping the bladder healthy by means of drinking enough water, doing pelvic and Kegel exercises, quit smoking, and limit alcohol intake, as well as caffeine intake, use the bathroom often and when needed, is vital for the smooth functioning and maintenance of a healthy and stronger bladder, void of infectious diseases like the urinary tract infections, and was still bedwetting.
Out of the country, thousands of protesters marched on the American and British embassies in the Ethiopian capital Addis Ababa on Thursday, November 25. The protesters called on U.S. President Joe Biden to review his foreign policy and accused foreign governments of planning the dismantling of Ethiopian sovereignty. The demonstrations come the day after the Ethiopian government announced that Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has gone to the forefront of the battle against fighters in the Tigrayan region. Tigray forces, which had long dominated the national government before Abiy came to power, appear to have the momentum in a war that has killed thousands of people over the year. In sports, the Electoral Commission of the Cameroon Football Federation has validated 6 candidates for the post of president and members of the executive committee. The candidates are Samuel Eto'o, Jean Crépin Nyamsi, Jules Denis Onana, Justin Tagou, Seydou Mbombo Njoya, and Zachary Wanja. The elections are slated for December 11, 2021. And that was it for this edition of Prime Flash, Friday, November 26th. Thanks for watching, faithful viewers. You'll get details in our 6:30 p.m. Prime News with Fon Quinta. Coming up next is In the House with Eileen Sama and her ladies. Have a nice time. Bye.